Hey everybody, Paz here, welcome back. I've just finished up an epic squid session at South Freo, made possible because of one of my golden rules when I go squidding. Always have a sleeper jig in when you're off the kayak. Let's check it out.
Hope you enjoyed a face-to-face intro for once, although I'll bet that the last thing people want to see is my ugly mug before a fishing vid. I decided to head down to South Beach on the Hobie. My last trip saw me battle unforeseen weather conditions in my quest for a squid. I'm pleased to report that this session went the other way. The wind was less than I expected, and it dropped off about 10 minutes into my session. Brilliant. Now, I mentioned sleeper jigs. These are jigs I hang from a rod holder when kayaking. They're usually a different coloured jig from my usual white flash boost, and from a shorter rod, so I can keep it out of the way. While it doesn't catch as much as a worked, cast or trolled jig, it is a useful barometer and can help me decide whether a switch is needed, or if more than one squid is in the area. This time, I'd opted for something slightly different, a floating jig rig, a paternoster style line with two glowing, floating jigs suspended from a couple of dropper loops. I've never tried floating jigs before, and I was interested to see if the lighter versions moved more and enticed more of a strike. I dropped them straight down from the kayak and set about casting. The drift was perfect. Imagine my surprise when my floating rig was taken. The sleeper jig strikes first. Okay, he's no kraken, but I was still happy that the floating jig worked. Unfortunately, not much else was, so I decided to move out a bit deeper. It was slow going for a while. When the bite goes quiet, it's easy to let your mind wander, but I tried to stay methodical, canvassing weed beds before moving on to the next. I thought about changing jigs, but the white flash boost has earned its spot as my best squid catcher, so it deserved a bit longer. After 45 minutes, it proved why. This was no tiddler, and fought all the way to the kayak. Not my longest squid this year, but certainly one of the chunkiest, and accepted gratefully. As the sun rose higher, my luminous and float jigs began to lose their edge, so I swapped them out for a more normal red and black number. With the new sleeper jig in my holder, I continued my trek, enjoying the sunrise and the relative solitude. Then, I noticed movement on my right. Another chunky squid, my third for the morning, and on the sleeper jig. It was shaping up to be a good day. I can strongly recommend hanging a jig off your boat or kayak if you have the capacity, even from a hand line. On a good day like this, they can account for a decent portion of your catch. Well, for me, 2 out of 3 at this point. Now, after all the action, I became concerned about my camera battery, so I decided to switch it off to conserve power. Apparently, I missed the camera switch and hit the squid one, because the camera was back on in 30 seconds. Tell you what, today has surprised me. I was expecting 1 squid, maybe 2. While you can catch squid all year round, it tends to be harder going into summer, and they seldom get as big as the winter giants. To catch 3 out of 4 decent sized ones is awesome, and they're hungry. No tentative candle hooks here, they're smacking the jigs hard. Of course, my camera battery did go flat, and I had to switch to my backup. Don't judge me, I hadn't planned on staying out this long. As I continued with my session, the area slowly began to fill up with boat anglers. While most of them were after the same thing I was, let's just say I'm glad I was wearing high-vis. With that, it started to get a bit too crowded for my liking. I made the decision to slowly troll and cast my way back to the beach, stopping at likely weed patches for a couple of casts before moving on and staying out of the boat's way. That's what I like about kayak squidding versus boat or land-based, the versatility. And, of course, I like it when this happens. This fella didn't seem to realise he was hooked until he was almost at the yak. You know it's a good session when you catch a squid, and then catch another one on your very next cast, while not even looking at the rod. When netting a squid, I always give the net a couple of shakes to try and entice a squirt, so that the squid doesn't make too much of a mess in the kayak.
Big honking squid.
Well, I never said it was foolproof, did I? Now this is a squid, the biggest of the day, topping almost anything I've caught this year, and barely 3 weeks from summer. It's been a weird year for sure. Alright, it was time to go. I could see the beach getting more crowded in the distance, and I needed to get back to the family. No more casting. I stowed the sleeper rod and began to troll back. About 5 minutes later, I felt something grab the jig, but quickly let go. If a squid grabs your jig, but the spikes don't stick, or it lets go, you can entice another strike. I immediately slowed down, let the jig pause a bit, and gave it a couple of rips. Bang! Squid are aggressive visual hunters, and they won't let a potential meal escape easily. And with that, it really was time to head in. I was on cloud 9. After working my butt off for a few squid last time at Woodies, I felt like the fishing gods rewarded me with an excellent haul today. I ranked this as my best squid session this year, as I ended up with 7 solid-sized squid, at a time of year where you don't usually get many at all. As for the how, I'm no expert, but I can honestly say that I have found a kayak squid method that works for me. Sleeper jigs, trolling, and casting. Give them a try. Thanks for watching, and please give those sub and like buttons a few jigs yourself. I really appreciate the support. As always, this video is dedicated to my 2 sons. Now, it's time to return to the river. I can hear the flats calling my name. This is Paz, wishing you fair winds and tight lines. Until next time.